Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick from Fit Futures here with yet another answer to yet another question. Today's question comes from Jason in Auckland, and the question is a simple one. Nick, how can you remember stuff? Do you have any tips? With any course, Jace, and I'm going to assume that you're a student of ours already, but with any course, any personal training course, our course is certainly no different. You need to be able to retain information, right? So you're going to be reading a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to be exposed to a whole lot of different learnings, whether that be theoretical, practical, or something altogether different. And retaining that information can be a little bit of a challenge. Now, there's a researcher whose name escapes me at the moment that swears by a three-step process. And that three-step process, he believes, can lead to you recalling any kind of information that you are trying to retain, which is awesome because there's going to be lots of it, especially in our course. But the three-step process it's fairly involved. So the three steps are: you've got to quiz yourself, you've got to share and summarize the information, and you've got to try and connect the information to experiences. So what I suggest with the quizzing is that you develop some flashcards. So in our course, as an example, we teach you about the bones, we teach you about the muscles, we teach you about joint actions. Now, a joint action is effectively describing movement, and there's muscles associated with those particular movements. So taking the bicep curl as an example, you would be performing the joint action of flexion and extension at the elbow, and the muscles involved are the muscles through the bicep group. Okay, so biceps brachii, brachialis, brachioradialis, and then you've got your tricep muscle group on the way down during the lengthening portion, your triceps uroconius. And so what you would want to do is you'd want to write on one side of the cue card elbow flexion, and then on the back you would want to have the muscles associated with that, so the biceps muscle group. And then you'd want to give it to a buddy and have them quiz you, and they would ask you, what's the muscles involved in elbow flexion, and you have to recall that information. Over time you should be able to retain and recall that information fairly easily, and at a fairly decent dose as well. And you should do that for, utilizing that example of course, you would want to do that for each of the joints in the body. Now, step 2 was to summarize and share that particular information. Take it from me, guys. When you have to teach something to somebody else, it's a really good way to retain the information and to be able to call on it. Why? Because you have to develop it in a way that you can actually teach the individual the concept, which means you put it into a coherent structure. So what you would do is you would summarize a piece of information, okay, and that might be blood flow through the heart, and then you would try to teach that to somebody else or tell somebody else about it. It can be a friend, a family member, okay, or it could be a classmate or something if you're doing our course. Now the third and final step was to try and connect the learnings that you were trying to recall into some other kind of experiences that you've had. One way that I find is really good is to try and create analogies. When I was studying and I was learning blood flow through the heart, I used the analogy of the dump truck, because blood takes carbon dioxide to the lungs to get rid of, and it brings on oxygen, and then it takes that back through the heart and then disperses it throughout the body. Okay, so the dump truck analogy was an easy way for me to recall it, because the blood has to go through the heart and out to the lungs, and then come back from the lungs in through the heart and out to the body. So I just said, right, it's a dump truck. Dump truck comes through the right side of the heart, the atria and the ventricles. It goes out into the lungs, goes to the bronchioles. It unloads the carbon dioxide. It takes on board oxygen to deliver somewhere else. It comes back into the heart through the left-hand side, atrium, ventricle, out through the aorta, and it makes its next delivery. Okay, so maybe you can attempt to do something similar. I hope those tips help you recall the information that you are looking to recall. Until next time, guys, keep safe. And if you're interested in more training-related content and answers to questions, click the link below and check out our stuff. Until next time, guys.